Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it is time for the player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. Thanks to Nate for going 4-0 last night as I took a little break on Martin Luther King Day. That makes us 7-1 the last two nights that we have done our player props last Friday and into this Monday this week. Look to stay hot on this one for you. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. Got a couple other videos up for you on those two games that we have tonight. Make sure you check those out, as well as Nate's article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there as well. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, we're going to start with the closer game projected on this two-game slate. Wolves are -3 at the Knicks, and it's going to be a testy game, you'd think. Some physical teams, and an especially important game for guys like Karl Anthony Towns, who used to play for Tom Thibodeau. They've now had 3 rematches, Tibbs has, against his former players, although Towns had to sit out the last one. He was in protocol along with the other big three in Minnesota there. So now he gets to face the Knicks. And in his last 4 against the Knicks, averaging 23, 15 rebounds, 5.5 assists. In his first matchup with Tibbs at MSG, he goes for 27 and 15 and over just 31 minutes, had a 34% usage rate. The 31 minutes was because he was limited due to foul trouble, but if he puts up that kind of double-double in that amount, I like just taking the money line with Karl Anthony Towns double-double if plus 250 at FanDuel as the preferred way to bet this game if you have a FanDuel account. That's some great juice there. He's come up a rebound or two shy recently of that amount usually, but in his last 3 road games, we're talking 30.3 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 5 assists, so plenty of all-around production if you want to go PRA, and a 131 offensive rating, and that includes really good defensive teams right now in Memphis and New Orleans. Those are also teams that like to pack the paint and force you to beat them from deep, just like the Knicks, who give up the 3rd highest percentage from 3, and Cat went 7 for 16 from 3 in those games. I would consider, if you want, some extra juice on a bet, on a money line bet here, Karl Anthony Towns 3 threes in a win at plus 450. He's attempted 22 triples over his last 4 games. The Knicks allow the 3rd fewest paint points. He's not really going to want to back down a guy like Mitchell Robinson or bang with him down low, so he probably will be willing to take those threes. But the most conservative bet here, if you're not sure about the result, 23.5 points for Cat. As I mentioned, getting 30 points per game on the road recently, averaging 25.5 on the season versus 24 at home. And the Wolves in general scoring 9 more points per game on the road. So just attacking his points or the points and rebounds at 32.5 against a Knicks team that throws up a lot of bricks, and that he's been rebounding against when he's faced them lately.
Yeah, the win, the double-double on the win scares me a little bit with Cat, just because, as you mentioned, he's been getting closer to 8 or 9 boards. It's close to 10, the double-double. The win as well, I mean, I think you're getting really good odds there, plus 250, just because it is obviously that small spread there of 3 points. And the Knicks, man, I had a beat on them last season, a little bit less so this season, but I think the fact that Cat already has done his damage against prior Tibbs teams like last season when the Knicks were way better at defense, one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the league, including in the paint. And Cat still did his thing with those points and rebounds. I do like those, to be honest. If at 32.5, I don't feel too scared by it, just because if he does get to around 24, 25 points, now we're just talking, right? We're talking about 7, 8 rebounds for him, which is, I think, around where he'll end tonight. And so those points, rebounds are where I like those a lot. Minus 118, but still the safest bet for your money tonight, in my opinion. I'm going to move on to the same game, but look at the other side there, and my guy Star Jay Barrett has really stepped up. What a difference the last 7 games has made for him, as he was quietly still not necessarily getting booed like Jay Randall was at MSG, but he wasn't really wasn't holding his own. Now, his points and assists tonight is at about 24.5, but you can get plus money on FanDuel there, or 20.5 points for him. Feels pretty good too at minus 110. You talk about what he's done in his last 7, as I mentioned, when he's really turned things around, averaging about 24.5 points a game. game, 6 boards in that time as well, and 3.5 assists, averaging almost 40 minutes a game, about 38.5 on a 29% usage rate. So, I think considering, Jay Randall, as I mentioned, still, struggling to get back to what he was last season or anywhere close. In his last 5, really, he's only had about less than 15 points a game, with an individual offensive rating lower than 93. His usage rate at about 26.5%, still, a decent usage rate for Jay Randall. But you look at RJ's, his is higher. He's got the ball in his hands a lot more, where they're trusting him. And it's partly because he's been shooting so well from deep as well. In terms of the last 5, he's hitting 3 triples per game at a clip of about 48.5%. So, Minnesota's 3-point defense, pretty good. But at the same time, I think, Randall has proven that when he's, when he's open right now, they're finding him. He's scoring the points and rebounds at 24.5. I think you like him to get 20 points. He's averaging, like we said, in his last 7 since he turned things around, 6 boards a game plus. So I think, RJ without Kemba still playing, without D Rose as well, obviously still hurt, and Jay Randall struggling. He's their guy right now, and he's actually stepped up to the plate in a way that I would feel comfortable picking him tonight in terms of those props at 24.5 points and assists at plus money there.
Yeah, especially if Minnesota can impose the way they want to play on the road, which is the 3rd fastest pace. And they're scoring 121 in their last 7. The Knicks are scoring 101. So it'll be interesting to see if they meet in the middle somewhere here. And if there's more pace and more points, that definitely favors a guy like Barrett more than Randall, who, as you mentioned, has become the second option here for the Knicks for various reasons. Not the least of which is the fan getting into some beef with the fan base as he tries to replicate last year's success. And when the Wolves do play at that pace, they're giving up the 2nd most assists per game on the road. So that's why we like the 24.5 points and assists. Yeah. Right. I would look at his overall PRA or rebounds as well, but RJ becoming much more of a playmaker with those guys, Rose and Kemba out. In this Warriors-Pistons game, not going with the big name on Detroit, Cade Cunningham. Instead, taking a lesser-known shooting guard, Amadou Diallo, to get over 12.5 points. He's been up and down just like his team. Sometimes he takes an early seat. Sometimes he gets a lot of run. And like we saw on New Year's Day, he went for 34, 14, and 4 in 50 minutes against the Spurs. Also got a healthy amount of run in a recent win against the Raptors, was a plus 23 with 18 points over 26 minutes. So if the Pistons are going to be competitive tonight, they're probably going to ride more of an athletic wing like him rather than playing Killian Hayes and Corey Joseph at the same time, if that's their other option here. He has found some success against Golden State in his last 3, 2 with OKC, 1 with Detroit, only getting 16 minutes per game because of the situation for those teams. But his offensive rating, 131 in that limited amount of time. So give him a little more time. He can probably get you 12.5 points. He can get you 6+ rebounds, which he's done in 5 of his last 6. So if you want to combine that with the 17.5 points rebounds prop, I like that. He has, I said 16 minutes per game, but since the start of January, he's getting 28.5 minutes per game and averaging 14 points for a Pistons team that's been pretty feisty lately and is trying to see what they have in these young guys.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Diallo's a guy that he's been around for a little bit, a lot more than some of their other young guys, but he's been getting those minutes up, as you mentioned, and they've won 5 of 9, which is crazy considering that they only have 10 wins on the season. But that's a huge difference right there in terms of Hamadou's minutes going up. A few other vets getting some more time as well, alongside Sadiq Bey and Cade still getting their minutes. But yeah, you could see Hamadou staying in the game a bit tonight. I don't know that they're necessarily going to save him for the second leg of their back-to-back. So, if tonight's the night that he gets those minutes, to your point, which he has been as of late, in a spreads, definitely a more open spread style pace game tonight. I think you feel good about Hamadou more so than maybe a couple of the other guys for the Pistons tonight. So I'm going to look lastly, not as well as you, similar to you, not at the big guy on the Warriors here, but in terms of Steph Curry, but I am going to be looking at Andrew Wiggins tonight. I think there's some value in his props, 17.5 points. Or you could look at his points and rebounds, but really even just sticking with his points, I believe you can even get it for 16.5 on DraftKings right now, 17.5 on FanDuel with slightly better odds. But either one, I do like the 16.5 a lot. At home, he's over those averages. He's averaging about 19 and 5 and 2 at home, 5 boards, 2 assists on really good splits, 46 from 3 and 80% from the line. Those are his splits actually in the last 2 seasons when Draymond doesn't play as well, which is what Draymond is not going to do tonight. So, in terms of getting over the 17.5 points, that's what, his average is over that at home this season without Draymond the last 2 seasons. And versus Detroit in his last 3, really good numbers as well. He's averaging 25 points, 5 boards and 2 assists dating back to last season, shooting 47% from the field and 50% from 3. And Detroit is not a good team, especially as of late in terms of defending the 3. They don't give up a ton of made field goals, but they give up the around the worst 3-point percentage to their opponents in their last 3 games, especially. So I would feel pretty good about Wiggy getting his points tonight, especially because I do think he'll get some 3-pointers in there at 17.5, 16.5, depending where you find it. And just a little bonus thing, honestly, I feel good about under in terms of Steph tonight. His 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm not saying he's going to have another bad game like he has. I think he sort of started to turn things around, as I mentioned in our other video there against Chicago. It's because you look at his efficiencies, and that's what's most important for Steph. He's going to be putting up 12 to 13 3-point attempts in a game. It's a matter of his efficiencies at this point, where he's been less than 30% as of late. I think he'll be up a bit, but I think this one gets ugly before Steph can get to his props tonight, which is why at 38.5 points, rebounds, and assists, I would go under for him, but still feel good about Wiggy to get his points early and often and then put this thing probably away by the third quarter.
Yeah, and as we saw in Chicago, when Steph starts hot, the other team starts scrambling, and then, Steph might not even get the assist, but it's the pass before the pass to get a roll man like Wiggy open or get him those threes, which is what's been happening at home for him to shoot 46% from deep. So hopefully he gets those looks in the first 3 quarters if the game gets out of hand. But a lot easier for him to attain 18 points than it is for Steph to pile up all those stats if it is a blowout.
Yeah, 100%. So that is all the time we have for our player props video for today. Make sure you like and subscribe to that page so you can check out the other couple videos we have for this 2-game slate tonight. And until we see you next, happy betting.